9 elite hikers, 1 mutilated campsite, eyes gouged out, tongues gone, half-naked bodies scattered in a Siberian blizzard. They slashed their only shelter open and ran barefoot into -30 degrees Celsius darkness. What terror could make trained mountaineers do that? This wasn't just an accident. It wasn't fear. It was something worse. Buried under 60 years of Soviet silence. And what I'm about to show you, you won't find in textbooks, you won't hear in documentaries. This is a true story that still haunts the coldest mountain in Russia. Chapter 1. The Night They Disappeared. February 1st, 1959. A group of 9 hikers, young, fit, experienced, set up camp on a barren slope of a mountain the local Mansi people called Kholat Syakhl. It means mountain of the dead. They pitched their tent on open snow above the tree line. No shelter, no cover, just wind, whiteout, and silence. Then nothing for over 2 weeks. When search parties arrived, what they found was beyond nightmare. The tent was still there, collapsed and half buried in snow, but it had been slashed open from the inside. Inside, boots, jackets, food, flashlights, a camera. Outside, barefoot tracks in the snow leading into the dark forest. Ask yourself, what would make you cut open your only shelter and run into -30 degrees Celsius barefoot? But the horror didn't end there. The next discovery made even the search team question reality. Chapter 2. The First Bodies. 6 days later, the first bodies were found. 2 men, nearly naked, lying under a cedar tree. One had broken branches above him, 15 feet high, like he had tried to climb it, or escape something. Nearby, a burnt patch of snow and what looked like a failed fire, but no tools, no weapons. 3 more bodies were discovered next, sprawled in the snow between the tent and the tree, all dead, all barely dressed. One had a fractured skull, another had broken ribs, but with no visible bruising outside. What force crushes bone without breaking skin? Weeks later, the last 4 were found deep in a ravine, buried under 12 feet of snow. One was missing her tongue, 2 had their eyes gone, another, his eyebrows shaved clean. Some of their clothes tested positive for radiation. This was no ordinary hiking tragedy, and what investigators wrote in the report only made it stranger. Chapter 3. What the hell happened here? The official cause of death? Hypothermia for 6. Massive internal trauma for the rest, except no other footprints were found near the camp. No signs of avalanche, no sign of a fight, nothing. And the Soviet report? It ended with this phrase, a compelling natural force. That's it. Case closed, buried in secrecy. But behind the curtain, stories leaked. Witnesses reported orange fireballs in the sky that night. One investigator said his Geiger counter spiked off the charts. Another claimed the government told him to keep it quiet. Even the lead prosecutor later admitted, "We were ordered to shut it down." Why? Because what they found or feared was bigger than any avalanche. But the deeper we dig, the stranger it gets. Chapter 4. Under the Surface. Let's go deeper. Why were some of the hikers dressed in each other's clothes? Why were the radiation traces mostly on the victims found last, in the ravine? And why were their injuries described as being like a car crash, yet with no bruises, no impact marks, and no explanation? Here's where it gets disturbing. Some believe the group saw something they weren't supposed to. Military parachute mines, rocket tests, secret chemical agents. Others point to infrasound, deep, low-frequency vibrations that can trigger panic and hallucinations. There are even theories that the hikers ingested psychoactive substances. intentionally or accidentally, triggering paranoia and madness in the white void. But if that's true, why did they slash open the tent from the inside? Why not unzip it? Why did they flee like they were being hunted? Still, there's something older, more ancient that few dare mention. Chapter 5, Mansi Legends and Fire in the Sky. Now here's something most videos miss. The Mansi people, the indigenous locals, call Kolatsyakal a cursed place. Their oral traditions speak of forest spirits that protect the mountains violently to the Mansi. This wasn't just a mountain. It was alive, and when intruders came, it made them disappear. Some searchers, even Russian officials, reported seeing lights, glowing orbs, above the peaks the night the hikers vanished. One rescue member described a strange metal taste in the air when he arrived. And that same investigator later said, off the record, it wasn't nature, and it wasn't human. Coincidence? Delusion? Or the oldest warning of all finally coming? And one of them, Ludmila, was a radio technician. They weren't reckless, but something out there stripped them of logic and life. Their diaries showed no signs of fear. In fact, the night before it happened, they sang songs in the tent. Then, just hours later, chaos. Slashed canvas, footprints running into nothing, and death. But even in the silence of snow, they left clues. Chapter 7, the names they left behind. Let's not forget their names. Igor Dyatlov, Zina Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin, Ludmila Dubinina, Yuri Doroshenko, Yuri Krivonishenko, Semyon Zolotaryov, Alexander Kolovatov, Nikolai Thibault Brignol. They were friends, scientists, explorers, and they never knew what was coming. Their cameras and journals, frozen in the snow, told the world their last hours. But the final page was ripped out, and the mystery only deepens. Heiress in time, Russia insists it was an avalanche, but too many questions remain. The tent cut, the bodies scattered, the radiation, the fire in the sky. So here's your mission. Type your theory in the comments. Was it the military? Spirits? Madness? Something worse? And if you believe mysteries like this still matter, then this isn't just a YouTube channel. This is a cold case archive. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and join the hunt. Because next week, we go somewhere even darker than Dead Mountain.